Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, AOC, has filed articles of impeachment for 2 Supreme Court justices, which makes it clear to me, and hopefully you too, that Democrats are just desperate to get Supreme Court nominations because they know they are going to lose in the upcoming presidential election. And this is their last shot while President Biden is still in office. So Democrats had hoped to turn the balance of the Supreme Court to a liberal bent because it is currently more justices appointed by conservative presidents, which makes them think that there is a conservative bent and it's unfair to them, to Democrats, to their agenda. So they feel like the clock is ticking and they won't get that chance if the polls are to be believed. So they're pissed at the recent decisions that the court has made, and they will do anything to make sure that they can put in a liberal court. That seemed clear to me just a few days ago when Elizabeth Warren tweeted this: Congress has already used its constitutional authority to expand the Supreme Court 6 times in the past. Court expansion isn't new. It isn't radical. It's what we must do to rein in a court that Republicans packed and that clearly doesn't feel limited by the rule of law. So what she's saying is 9's not enough. Let's get ourselves in there some liberal judges, however many we need to tip the balance to a way we like it. That is what you call a spoiled sport, I would say. She wants new liberal judges appointed ASAP, and clearly that's what AOC wants too, and that's why she filed these articles of impeachment. She says it is against Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Thomas has received luxury vacations from billionaire GOP donor Harlan Crow for decades. Alito has taken gifts from billionaire and GOP megadonor Paul Singer. Now, I'm not saying those things didn't happen, and clearly the court is struggling with its own codes of conduct, but it's kind of funny that she had problems with all of this money, but none with what the Bidens have clearly accepted. We know this now from the Hunter Biden laptop and many other sources. The Bidens have accepted money from China, from Ukraine, from other sources. That's not a problem. No articles of impeachment there from her. What about Justice Sotomayor, who is accused of using her position to sell her books? Maybe this is different and maybe it's not, but the Associated Press reported that she made $3.7 million by pushing her books through her staff, which taxpayers pay for. Is that different? If you're a legal scholar, tell me, are those the same things or not? Or is it just not different because AOC has a political bent and she doesn't want to remove Sotomayor because she was appointed by Obama? Even MSNBC admits that Democrats are doing this just because they don't like the outcome of the court's rulings lately, such as the presidential immunity ruling, such as the January 6th claims. Watch.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio Cortez from New York City, and she's filed 2 articles of impeachment against Justice Samuel Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas. And these articles of impeachment are not based in any of the decisions that either of these 2 justices have made, but instead specifically about their conduct around the office. For instance, in both Thomas and Alito's case, she is accusing them of not properly disclosing financial benefits and gifts that they were given by donors and others, and in some cases people that had business before the court or even had a vested interest, a political interest in some of the issues before the court. And she's also doing that in the case of Clarence Thomas, saying that he refused to recuse himself from certain cases that his spouse had a vested interest in as well. His wife, Ginny Thomas, of course, was very much involved in the Stop the Steal effort, the efforts to overturn the 2020 election and things along those lines. Also, she is accusing Justice Alito as well of refusing to recuse himself from certain cases of which he may have a conflict of interest. So these are very specific accusations that Ocasio-Cortez is leveling against these 2 Supreme Court justices. It comes at a time where Democrats are getting increasingly frustrated about the direction of the court, obviously the decisions that this court has rendered over the past couple of months, but also the conduct of these Supreme Court justices and the lack of oversight that they apparently seem to have without any kind of specific code of ethics that they must follow.
So again, I ask you, we have proof of all politicians doing this and judges. The judge in the Trump case, in the Trump documents, Stormy Daniels' case comes to mind. She doesn't seem to have a problem with that, right? And someone in the chat rightly points out, what is she doing for her constituents? Obviously, she's doing this for herself, right? It's a political stunt. but she wants different outcomes from the Supreme Court. Clearly, here are her articles of impeachment that she posted, strangely on this Saved by the Bell color stationery. Like, you would think that she's a Democrat, she'd use American colors. Does anyone else think it's weird, this stationery that she's putting? No? Am I reading too much into this?
I'm surprised it's not more rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little trans. It's a little trans. Got a little trans colors.
I'm just looking at this and I'm like, you're a congressional representative. Don't you use red, white, and blue to some iteration?
Or
like,
wouldn't
what's
you use
with the purple, girl?
Well, I mean, wouldn't you use like professional House of Representatives stationery?
Yes, this is what I'm thinking. There's just like, I'm very perplexed by this, and probably I'm reading too much into it, but let me know what you think. So I highlighted here what I think is worth reading. Actually, none of it's worth reading, but we're reading it because it's a political stunt. She's calling the Supreme Court right now a crisis threatening American democracy writ large, a threat to the American rule of law and the integrity of our democracy, and one of the clearest cases for which the tool of impeachment was designed. She said, again, she's selective in where she decides to see this and where she doesn't. She said that Alito has repeatedly failed to disclose that both of them have received millions of dollars in gifts from individuals with businesses that the court, that she believes is against the law. And here is her list of grievances for what they refuse to disclose, what they refuse to recuse themselves of. Again, I'm not saying that this is or isn't true, but it's very selective who she's targeting, because if she removes these two justices before Biden loses office, then she gets those two appointments for the Democratic Party, right? She wants that. They want that clearly. That's what Liz Warren already signaled. So she may pass this in the Senate, maybe, because that's still democratically controlled, but it won't pass the House, which Republicans control. So if she doesn't have much chance of success with this, so clearly it's a political stunt, as this meme, which was posted in her feed about this is I'm going to impeach the Supreme Court. And you see these bartenders say what? Like, they're literally laughing at her. It's funny because it's a long shot, but she does succeed at setting a dangerous precedence, to my mind, which is that if you don't like the outcome of the court, you dismantle the court. We've seen this played out now with special counsels, right? With prosecution of political opponents. Now, it would be interesting to see if she continues this, though. Like, we'll play this out. Let's say she's reelected, but Biden is not. Will she drop these articles of impeachment then because she doesn't want Trump to get a nomination? Clearly not. So we'll see. Well, it's a game and a stupid one.
Because, like, when RGB was still in there, and when the Supreme Court made a decision and the Republicans didn't like it, the Democrats were like, the Supreme Court is the rule of the land. Like, they're the supreme rule of the land, so yes, you got to follow it. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait, no, we shouldn't have been saying that.
Right. And, both parties do this, right? They don't like the outcome, so they try to pull the rug out from under. And it's a dirty trick, and we should just stop it. But this is upping the ante. This is doing that more. And she's doing it clearly not for her constituents, because who of her constituents wants this? It's sort of her Instagram followers want this. So let us know what you think of this.
A lot of people think she's going to be the next Nancy Pelosi. Like, she's positioning herself to be the next Nancy Pelosi, who Pelosi in the past 24 hours has made quite a few waves, basically saying she doesn't think that Biden will remain in power, that he should, that time has come, that clock is ticking. So Nancy Pelosi kind of putting the screws right now on President Biden.
Right. She said, if he decides, like, he said he's doing it. He has said many times she's
basically saying he should re-examine his position right now. Like, I know he thinks he's staying in. No. I think he should. The time is now. The time is up. Basically, she's saying. Nancy Pelosi is saying.
Yeah, twisting the knife.
Well, and I was going to point out really quick on AOC that, like, she is a lot like Nancy Pelosi in the way that she makes $175,000 a year salary, but has managed to become a millionaire so far in her position. So
maybe she's following Nancy Pelosi's stock picks.
Yep.
Yeah. There's like the Nancy Pelosi stock tracker and all that.
Well, I mean, I chose not to bring this up, but AOC has accepted invitations to the Met Gala, which is worth a lot of money. She's accepted gowns to wear at the Met Gala. So I don't know if she disclosed those things. So again, can she really cast the first stone? She's going to. So should we look at her? I'm not in favor of ever looking into somebody as retribution, but I am in favor of equal justice under the law. So if she thinks that this is something, let's look at what she's received then.
Yeah.